Hey, today I'm talking about 3 River Phoenix films, and the names of those 3 movies are Dogfight, Running on Empty, and My Own Private Idaho. First up is Dogfight. This is a 1991 film starring River Phoenix and Lily Taylor, and the basic premise is it is the 60s just before Kennedy gets assassinated, and River plays this Marine the day before he ships out to Vietnam, which he doesn't think is a big deal. And so he has some plans with his good buddies, but ends up spending a lot of time with a young woman. And basically the entire movie is just them hanging out over the course of a night. And it's really, really good. There's a lot I like about this movie. I won't explain what the title refers to because like the first 15 minutes is them building up to that moment, to that reveal. I mean, obviously River does a great job in this film because he was a very, very talented actor. But the real standout here is Lily Taylor. Like, she made this movie. The movie really rests on her shoulders. Because like, if she can't deliver this very nuanced performance of being like this young, naive, inexperienced girl while also still be a strong woman who's willing to stand up for herself, who's willing to take risks for herself, who believes in herself, this film without a doubt wouldn't have worked. And I loved her performance too because I really feel like I could see people I've known throughout my life. I can see a little bit of myself in there too, but definitely just like, it feels so real and genuine. River Phoenix is a bit of a dick in this film, and it's so satisfying, like the ways she tells him off at times. It's great. Or just like calls him out when he's being an asshole. It's very satisfying. Yeah, no, this film worked really, really well for me. There's definitely some stuff in here that hasn't aged the best. That's sort of the point. It kind of wasn't the best at the time, so it can be a little bit of a hard watch in the beginning, but even with that, I would still totally recommend it. My only real complaint about the movie is there's a little epilogue that happens, and I think the movie absolutely does not need it. I feel like they didn't execute it as well as the rest of the film. It really should have just ended with like them parting ways instead of having this epilogue. Even despite that, I would still without a doubt recommend this. This is a really good movie that's totally worth a watch. Next up is Running on Empty. This is a 1988 film that is so interesting. If you really boil it down, it's essentially just a teenage romance film where River's character struggles to open up because of the quirkiness of his strange family. But it's really about like those family dynamics and like parents holding on too tightly to their children, not letting them flourish and become their own person, like them just wanting to hold on to them despite everything. That's definitely like a big part of it, but like there's so much more to it than just that. There's other nuanced stuff that I don't want to spoil just because I feel like the way, especially the beginning, is a mystery of like, what is going on? They take a minute to explain themselves, and I think they did it in a really good way, and I don't want to spoil that experience for you if you watch this. My favorite scene though had to deal with the mom, her kind of big emotional scene. I think that was definitely a standout moment for the film. It definitely helped cement this film in the really liked category for me because she, yeah, just nailed it. So yeah, I think it's a really good, really interesting film that's definitely different and out there, but in a way that's still relatable and understandable. So yeah, if you want something that's good and a little bit different, yeah, no, definitely would recommend this one too. And lastly is My Own Private Idaho. This is a 1991 film co-starring Keanu Reeves. What? This film's interesting. It definitely kept my attention and was surprised with where it went. So the premise is both Keanu and River are 20-year-old boys who are homeless and primarily make money by being prostitutes. Mostly for men, but occasionally women. Also, River's character has narcolepsy for some reason, and Keanu's character is actually rich. It really just follows like their meandering exploits as unhoused youths. And like, definitely performed well, but I don't know. It didn't work for me as well as the other ones. I read on IMDb that the writer-director of this, he had 3 different stories and he basically just combined them all into one. And as soon as I read that, I was like, oh yeah, that perfectly makes sense. Because like there were times where like these homeless children sounded like Shakespeare. And I'm like, is this just an adaptation of a Shakespeare play? Like what's going on right now? And it turns out, yes, it was. was for parts of it, just randomly. And that was just odd. Like, I kind of like the idea, but I don't think the execution worked the best. And it felt very aimless, but not in a way that worked for me in general, the whole film. What also didn't really work for me is that the film, I kept seeing praise and praise again for this campfire scene. And I'll spoil the campfire scene because I think it's fine. In the campfire scene, River admits that he is in love with Keanu's character if he doesn't reciprocate. And I feel like it didn't work because there was nothing that they did prior to that moment to really suggest to me that they had any feelings more than just a close friendship. Like, they did some stuff. They pretended to have sex once to mess with some people. So like they were shirtless on top of each other. But like, they're teenage boys. Teenage boys just mess around. And they're also prostitutes, so like they're very comfortable in their own bodies. That's not a signal of like, I actually want to do something with you. That was just like them messing around. If anything, I would describe River's character as incredibly passive. Like, there was so many times he just kind of zoned out, or there's lots of times where he's literally asleep. And like, yeah, Keanu would carry him, but that didn't seem like a romantic moment. Plus there's the fact of like, River didn't remember any of the moments where Keanu carried him. It just felt like close friends. It didn't feel like there was any romantic tension there. So yeah, I didn't buy that part of it. I did still enjoy this movie a good solid amount despite me complaining. The performances were definitely good. I think it was an interesting story. I just don't think the execution was 100% the best. I think if you're curious about the film, I think it's worth a watch, but I wouldn't say go out of your way to watch it. It's good and worthwhile, just not like nowhere near as good as the other two. So yeah. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Dogfight sitting at number 23 in the really like section, and then literally right behind that is Running on Empty sitting at number 24, again in the really liked section. And then bringing up the rear is My Own Private Idaho sitting at number 40 in the quite like section. And this is at a total of 75 old movies so far this year.